All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. We are in, hopefully you can hear me okay, we are in the home stretch. We're coming up on the end of our second day. We've got some heads down time, some work we're going to do before we finish the day, and then Sam is going to be our dessert, our reward for being attentive all afternoon or all day. First I want to say, let's have maybe an moment for our yellow group. They had to end the 3 sessions in Stolen Promise. So, sorry I had to end on a bummer. Hopefully you can bounce back from that and reignite from that. I'm curious. I want to do a sort of a quick hand survey. Who found this to be much more interesting than day-long speaker onslaught? Let's just get okay, that's pretty much unanimous. Great. That's really useful feedback for us. This is a brand new event. This is a new experience, a new experiment for us. This whole first year of spring has been an experiment. And so I'm really glad to see that you liked and enjoyed the experience of what we put together. You'll be getting a survey about the event. We would love any and all feedback you can give us on this so that we can continue to tailor it. Maybe you're already on a pathway like this, and you can say, okay, we're in phase 1. We've got our digital infrastructure together. Now let's start to really get our data in order. And what came through loud and clear to me is this need for being better at change management. Intelligent systems, digital transformation is just one of the many transformations that our companies, our industries are going through. We're seeing widespread disruption, widespread transformation across a number of different industries, and Martin Fleming talked about that, gave some examples of that yesterday. So if we're dealing with technological disruption and transformation on top of industrial transformation, on top of perhaps some geographic shifts happening around us, all that means change management. So how are we prepared for and how are we skilled in managing that change and bringing our organization into those new environments? So just some things to think about that may help shape the type of action plan that you would put together in response to that. So let's take a quick snapshot at where we're at. We're finishing up. Remember, this was a 2-day sort of crash course experience on a foresighting process. First day we were immersed. Today we've been visioning through our future scenarios. Now it's time to plan. We're going to move into laying out that framework of an action plan that you can start to take back to your organization and build out and coalesce the team that's going to help bring about change. So we're preparing you to act. We're preparing you to go back and think about where we want to start to make those entry points, start to build some critical mass around moving this forward. So we've spent 2 days really summarizing what we've spent the past 10 months putting together. All right, so a draft action plan that you'll put together in the next 30 minutes isn't by itself going to move the needle, right? It's going to take more time back at your company, back in your organization to, again, rally the troops and start to make this real and actionable. But we want to get you started in thinking along those lines. So here's the steps that we're going to go through. Let me walk through this, and then we'll take a few minutes to shuffle around. If you came with other folks from your organization, when we get moving into the workbook, that would be a good time to reassemble, sit together with your team. So just a heads up that that's coming. So first we're going to lay out an objective. What is it that we want to do? What do we want to act on? What do we want to change? What do we want to excite within our organization? What do we want to accomplish? So we'll spend a few minutes on that. And then socialize is intended to lay out the who. Who are the key actors that we need to think about in this initiative? We're going to think about stakeholders. We're going to think about core team. We're going to think about followers. Who's going to want to be part of the buzz that maybe starts to happen around this initiative? Then we'll think about and organize the what. What is the content, perhaps, out of these last 2 days, out of the prior modules that we put together and expert interviews? How do we leverage all that content, things we've learned from talking with each other, the shared experiences from the future scenarios? What is that content that I need to bring back to that audience? All right, so we'll do some thinking about what is that content and what's the best way to integrate that content with the team. And then in Mobilize, we're going to think about the key actions, the how and the when. What do I want to get done in the next 30 days? What do I need to get done with this team in the next 60 days, 90 days? All right, so we're putting some intentional frameworks around early stage actions that will move you toward an ultimate change plan. All right, so let's get started. So if you have some teammates that you came with, let's take a minute and reassemble as needed to be able to work together on that. We've got some flex space up here. There's a couple of spaces back there in the very back. So let's reshuffle for a minute. All right, it looks like most people are settled. So if you would if you've got your workbook handy, we're going to start on page 28. So the first thing we want to do is think about an objective. Again, what is the main goal we want to accomplish? What do we want to improve in our organization? And so let's take about 2 minutes and give that some thought. That's going to be the framing sentence or two about the sort of the central theme for our action plan. So we've got some folks rotating around, available to help answer questions as we go through this. So let's start with, take 2 minutes, think about what is your key objective. There's some examples up here in the purple box, so if you need some starting points, some food for thought, we can start with something like that. As you think about objective, think about what's the starting point for an action plan that I want to take back into my organization. How do I bring them up to speed on intelligent systems and the opportunities and the threats and how we need to be acting toward that? If you need further inspiration, we have a sample completed form action plan on the table. We've taken a first pass at what some example actions could be, so feel free to refer to that as well. All right, we got about 30 more seconds, so hopefully that objective's starting to gel. All right, let's keep moving. Everybody ready with objective? Anybody need more time? See a hand? All right, let's keep going. So our next step we want to think about is the team. We'll spend a few minutes thinking about who's the core team, who's the key stakeholders that we need to engage in this initiative, in this action plan that we want to put together. There's several prompts in the workbook, so you can think about types of people. You may want to think about who's sort of closely linked to the overall corporate strategy, who's really tied in with IT initiatives, who's got the finger on the pulse of culture and change, and who's well connected, within the enterprise. So there's a number of prompts there to help you think about who that core team might be. While you're thinking about that team, I want you to think about what are some ways to get them engaged. Are there going to be talks from the past 2 days that you want to be able to share a video of? Are there modules that we put together for spring throughout the year that they should read the crash course, right? Or are there particular links or particular information in those modules that you think would be useful to share? Would you want to recreate something from Springboard for this core team? So there's a number of prompts here to help you think about that. I'm going to give you about 4 minutes to work on the team and some actions. All right, hopefully that dream team is coming together and ways to engage. You've got some initial thoughts on that. We're going to keep rolling. Let's move to the next section of our plan, which is organize. So now with that team in mind and our objective in front of us, let's think about what are some of the key insights, what are some of the key takeaways from the last couple of days, maybe couple those with takeaways that you had from some of the spring modules, from some of the pre-reads or learnings that you may have done ahead of time. We've broken this out in 2 lines of thought. One is what are some of the key takeaways and insights related to intelligent systems. What are those ahas? What are those things that I've really got to make sure people in my organization understand that you've taken away from this last couple of days? And also, what are some key insights about foresighting? Where does that currently sit in your strategic planning? Is it there or not? Have you gotten some exposure to maybe some more structured methods, some better methods in which to do that? So take a few minutes. We'll take about 5 minutes. Think about, capture those key insights. They're probably already sitting in places in your workbook because we've given you prompts along the way as we've left you space to talk about insights from different speakers, from the panel discussions, et cetera. So refer back to some of the content that you captured already, and then maybe some prompts for key insights you want to share. And also give some thought to what are some of the best ways to convey those insights. One of the things we've been trying in spring is what are different ways that people are learning? How are they absorbing new information? That's why we had multiple modules and different levels of depth to those modules. We've had videos. We've had webinars. We've had immersion experiences like you've had today. Some of those may be effective ways to reach your team. So let's take about 5 minutes, think about that team and how to engage them. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap up our key thoughts on insights on intelligent systems and foresighting. We're going to move on to the next chapter of your plan. So we've talked about the who. We're starting to build our dream team. Talked about what are some of those initial key takeaways and content that we want to be able to share with that team to get them excited, get them moved toward action. Now let's work on mobilize. And this is where we want to break out sort of a very near-term framework of a set of actions. We're intentionally forcing it into 30-day increments. So what do you want to get accomplished in the next 30 days? What do you want to get accomplished in the 30 days after that, and 30 days after that? How do we get some momentum going around rallying a team, garnering resources to support some kind of initiative, and build some awareness and some following to move this forward? Okay, so that should be the next page in your workbook. And here's a few tips and tricks as you start to think about that. So in the first tip, take a look back at socialize and organize. Some of the actions that you wrote down there about how to get a team on board or how to convey those key insights, those may become key points in your 30-day plan, for example. In that first 30 days, maybe you want to think about team formation, setting a mission for that team, general awareness raising for stakeholders and for some key followers, and setting some goals. What do we want this team to do? That's a lot to accomplish, and that would be a meaningful set of accomplishments in those first 30 days. So some suggestions of how to get the team off the ground. In those next 30 days, you can think about setting priorities. How do we get a broader team engaged? How do we secure the resources that we're going to need to do something beyond the first 90 days? Are there existing corporate cycles? Maybe there's a strategic planning cycle that we need to plug into. We want to integrate foresighting more distinctly in that process. Or maybe there's a budget planning cycle that we need to make sure we're aligned with so that we can secure the resources we want to pursue. So that could be some examples of ways to structure your 60-day plan and accomplishments. And in 90 days, we're starting to think about what are some longer-term objectives, what are the resources that we need to garner so that we can pursue some of these longer-term objectives. What type of pilot projects would we want to do? Again, thinking back to, are we getting our data house in order? Are we ready to move to actual implementation of a pilot project? And then what kind of support or buy-in do we need to have? How do we get the air cover we need to go take some risks? So here's some examples for you to think about. We're going to take about 7 minutes to work through that. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up. I've got a couple closing comments, and then I'll introduce our last speaker. So if I could have your attention. What we've laid out for you, again, is the starting point for an action plan so that you can start to lead and drive change in your organization. Hopefully this has helped prompt some general framing of who's the key team, what are some key actions that we need to take. Obviously that plan's not done. right? There's going to be more work to do as you go back and as you start to integrate. We're going to take you back out of the futures that we've enjoyed today and back into the present. We've been on a pretty amazing journey over the last 2 days in giving you this crash course, this fast forward experience of a foresighting process. And so now it's time for you to act. We feel very strongly that this foresighting process can be really impactful for an organization. And a topic like intelligence systems is a perfect example of why some structure and some help is needed to be prepared for those potential futures that are going to arise. So we feel very passionate about this, and we would love to let you know we're here to help. We want to help you move forward from today into that near-term future, and there's a number of ways that we can engage in that with you. First of all, we're going to put together a 30-day, a 60-day, and a 90-day collective web meeting, phone call, so that we can sort of keep each other accountable. We can check in with one another. We'll hear some case studies from each other about how this is going. How's that action plan coming? What have you run into? What's worked well? What's been a stumbling block? We want to make those continued conversations available to you. So we'll be organizing those, and so keep an eye out for a calendar invitation for that. 30-day and 60-day coincide pretty closely with some upcoming holidays. So they may not be exactly 30 days or exactly 60 days, but they will be close to those. We think there's a number of customized ways that we can help you as well, and we've talked about that with some of you about how do we bring some of the Springboard experience back into your organization. Can we do that in some way to help ignite some excitement and some awareness about all the potential and all the preparatory work that needs to happen to get ahead of some of the intelligence systems. Some of you are interested in how do we integrate foresighting into strategic planning processes, and so there's some ways we can do some customized alignment of that. Maybe there's some foresighting topics that you want to dive into that are aligned with or outside of intelligence systems. So we're also talking about creating a intelligence systems peer group. So we trialed something like that this year with our pioneers. You've heard us mention our pioneers throughout. They were sort of like the lead users, heavy users in this. And so we want to scale that up, right? So if you're interested in creating a coordinated, curated network that's sharing best practices and learnings about intelligence systems and how to apply them and how to prepare for them, these are things that we can help you orchestrate and help bring about and continue to work us forward in this action plan. So anyway, we're open to suggestions. We'd love to hear from you. How can we be helpful to you moving forward? So we have these initial thoughts on how to do that, but we'd love to continue to stay connected to you and stay in conversation about that.